What's up, Car Squad fam, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Derek and I do car reviews. Today we'll be checking out this 2004 Nissan Frontier XE V6 Crew Cab. Now this one being an XE V6 Crew Cab with a rear wheel drive and that long bed would have had a starting MSRP of $20,770 back in 2004. The first generation of the Frontier ran from 1998 to 2004 with a facelift in 2001. It was a replacement for the old Nissan hardbody trucks, which were extremely solid and reliable trucks, similar to those old Toyota trucks. The four-door crew cab version like this wasn't available until 2000, however. For the 1998 and 1999 model years, you could only get them as a single cab or king cab. Speaking of those other cab options, while the crew cab only did come with a V6, a 2.4-liter four-cylinder was available in the single cab and king cab. Now a big thank you to USA Carpet for allowing me to review their vehicle. If you're in the Bay Area and you need carpeting or flooring services done, be sure to visit usacarpetandvinyl.com. They do top-notch, high-quality work. They've done the carpeting at my parents' home as well as many of my friends, and everyone has great things to say. Now, they tell me that they've hauled up to 600 pounds of carpet rolls up top on this rack, and the vehicle is 21 years old. It has 154,000 miles. So after all of that, today we're going to take a tour around the interior, exterior of the vehicle and do a point of view drive and see just how well it's held up after all those years, miles, and work. And I am located up here in the Northern California Bay Area, so if you are up this way and you have a vehicle I can review, please be sure to shoot me an email at the address listed here. Thanks. So starting off up front here in the engine bay, you'll see the 3.3-liter V6 motor that powers this vehicle. Now, like I mentioned, this is a rear-wheel drive and it has a 4-speed automatic transmission, but it was also available with a 5-speed manual. You get 180 horsepower, which was a bump in 2003 from the 170 that it had prior to that, and you have 202 pound-feet of torque. It has a max towing capacity of 5,000 pounds and payload capacity of 1,102 pounds. Fuel efficiency is rated at 15 in the city, 20 on the highway for a combined 17 miles per gallon. Now, I did do some searching on the forums and there was mixed reviews of what the actual fuel economy was. So if you own one of these, please be sure to leave in the comments below what your fuel economy has been like. All right, so moving around to the back of the vehicle, we'll drop the tailgate and that will reveal access to the 6-foot bed that you have back here. Now, plenty of space back here, but I just wanted to point out there's no fancy compartments like modern trucks, hidden compartments anywhere. It's just a simple, plain open bed, functional for hauling items around. You of course have at each 4 corners hooks to attach some bungee cables, but very simple, very effective in being a solid and effective work truck. Now, one thing I did want to point out is that in this first generation, you also had the option of a crew cab with a 4.5-foot bed. The generation after of the Frontier had that as well, a 4.5-foot bed or a 6-foot bed. But now Nissan no longer makes the crew cab with a 6-foot bed. So if you wanted that setup, you'd have to go back to one of these first generation or second generation Frontiers. All right, so now I'll show you what it's like getting into the back seat and what the space and comfort is like back there. Now, for reference, I'm 6'1", the driver's seat is set to my driving position. So let's see how it goes. It is a little tight getting in here. I also wear a size 14 shoe, and getting my foot through between the seat and the pillar is a little bit of a challenge. And yeah, once back here, it's definitely tight for me sitting behind someone who's also 6 feet tall. Maybe if this person was 5'8", maybe I'd have a little bit more space, but my knees are pressed up against the back of the seat and feel like they're coming into my chest. The headroom is good. My head space is fine. The seats itself are actually very comfortable and well padded, and for 21 years of use, definitely have held up quite well. Now, as far as features go back here, you don't really have anything. There's no center armrest that falls down on your doors themselves. You just have your door latch as well as your window control. There's no storage pockets back here. Down below here, you do have a cigarette style lighter power outlet. And then if you pull on this tab here, you'll reveal 2 small cup holders. Aside from that, you just have this rear window, which can be slid open manually and then closed, but that's it. Nothing complicated back here, nothing too fancy, just a simple and effective work truck with some seats to carry extra people if you need to. Back here, you will also find one coat hook. That is the only one in the vehicle. Now, if you need more space back here to haul items, you can just pull on these seats and they will fold down. Of course, these seats need to be slid up some, but you can lay this down flat, and then you would have a shelf here created to haul larger items around if needed. All right, so moving into the driver's seat of the vehicle. Now, there's a little bit of wear here on this driver's seat for a vehicle at 21 years and doing the work it's done. Not bad at all. The seats otherwise are pretty comfortable and have held up very well. On the door panel itself, you'll find your 4 window controls, your window lockout button, lock and unlock for the vehicle, and your left and right mirror controls. And then you do have a small storage compartment down below. Now, as far as seating adjustments go, this knob will rotate and allow you to raise that seat up and down. This one will adjust that lumbar support. And with this, you'll be able to adjust that seat back, forward, and back. And then, of course, in front, you have your release to slide the seat forward and back. From the driver's position, you'll find to your left your cargo lamp button, your dial for the gauge cluster screen. And then that gauge cluster is very simple. You've got your tachometer on the left, speedometer in the center, and then off to the right, your temperature and fuel gauge. Now, these blinker and wiper stocks feel very, very solid, as does the steering wheel. And you also have some cruise control buttons here as well. And then you've got a tab here on the left to adjust that steering wheel up and down. Now, taking a look at the climate controls up top here, very simple. You've got knobs that simply turn left and right to adjust that fan speed up and down, temperature up and down, and where that air is coming from on the right side there. You've got a button up top here to turn that defroster on, and then down below, your air recirculation button, as well as your AC button. Very simple layout and simple to use buttons. Below that, you'll find a cigarette style lighter power outlet, and then below an aftermarket head unit. Below that head unit, you'll find your hazard light button, and down below, near where the gear selector is, you've got 2 compartments here for some storage items. Up in front, you'll see one there, and then right alongside that gear selector, there's another where some pens and pencils are stored here. Now, behind that, you've got 2 rather small cup holders. And then your center armrest, you have 2 ways of opening this. You can open it like so, revealing a small compartment up top here, or you can lift and reveal a slightly larger compartment down below. Now up top, you just have some dome lights here. There's no sunglass storage or anything like that up there. And lastly, our sun visors flip down and out, but they do not slide out. These are also some of the thinnest sun visors I've probably ever felt, but they've held up and they do the job. Well, that wraps up the walk around tour of the exterior and interior of the vehicle. Now I'll put you in the driver's seat for a point of view drive. So my thoughts on the 2004 Nissan Frontier XE Crew Cab. I think this truck offers a lot of what a similar Tacoma from this time offers, but at a reduced price, and I think it may be a better deal than a Tacoma. As I mentioned during the interior review, knobs, buttons, steering wheel, everything felt solid and sturdy like it was built to last. Yes, the driver's seat had a small tear in the seat bolster, but for a work truck, after all these years and miles, the seats were in good condition otherwise, and they still maintain the cushioning and support. It was a cold morning that I filmed this video, and while driving it, the heat worked fine. There were no weird noises or creaks or rattles as I drove it, even over some of the bumpier roads. Now, everyone says these trucks are slow, but for what it is, I had no problem at all with it. Torque was fine getting me up hills, and merging onto the freeway, I felt comfortable getting up to freeway speeds. We live in a time where every car now has ridiculous horsepower numbers, and an everyday van is fast compared to a sports car from the early 2000s. But I felt confident in the power to get up to speed when I needed to, and being slow wasn't an issue for me, especially the way I figure most people would use this and drive it. It would have been nice if the back seats were a little bit more spacious, but if you're not as tall as me or you have young kids, you can probably get by with it. And honestly, I do love the size of this truck. You get a full 4 doors and a 6-foot bed. And while you don't get the massive rear seat space found in some modern trucks, it's also not as massive as some of these modern trucks are. It was very maneuverable, and I found it easy to drive, almost to the point that I had to remind myself that I was driving a truck. Now, this truck did recently have some work done, which included a new brake master cylinder, new battery and transmission service, which replaced the transmission filter, gasket, and fluid. Aside from that, they told me the truck has been a workhorse and has just been maintained with regular maintenance with nothing major having been needed. As far as things to look for on these, they do have timing belts, so be sure to check how recently that's been done if you're in the market for one, and factor that in as an additional cost if it's something that needs to be done. Like many trucks from this era, check the frame for rust. And I also saw that the icon sensor tends to fail around 40,000 miles, although I'd assume almost all of these trucks now are well beyond that mileage. But signs of an icon sensor failing would be decreased fuel economy, rough idling, and hesitancy during acceleration. I did see on forums a few people mentioning having rear main seal leaks, but otherwise they seem to be very solid and reliable trucks. And this one, being an 04 at the end of the production range, had a lot of those earlier potential worries ironed out. I do think these are kind of a hidden gem or forgotten about truck that is really, really good and can be had for under $10,000. Looking at equivalent double cab Tacomas from 2004, I see those listed for about 10 to 12,000 with between 170 to 230,000 miles, and of course more expensive if they've got even lower miles than that. Now, crew cab Frontiers with that kind of mileage, I'm seeing listed for about 5,000. And lower mileage ones with 100 to 150,000 miles can be found for $7,000 to $9,000 depending on if it's a short or long bed, which the Tacomas didn't get the long bed until the next generation. Obviously, the Tacoma is a great truck and I'm a huge Toyota fan, but I think these Frontiers are just as good at a lower price, which allows you to get a lower mileage, less used vehicle. And even if you're not shopping for a truck but want a solid, reliable vehicle that's easy and cheap to maintain and will last a lifetime, I think the Frontier is still a great choice that you should be considering, given the fact that there just aren't many good, reliable vehicles out there today, especially when it comes to trucks and SUVs that can be had for under $10,000. Well, that wraps up the review of this vehicle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already, so you're not missing out on other videos like this. And those subscriptions do help the channel big time, and it's free for you to do, so I would greatly appreciate that. And be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at CarSquadTV. I'll put the link here. And again, a big thank you to USA Carpet for loaning me this truck to review for you all. Be sure to reach out to them for your flooring needs if you're here in the Bay Area. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.